about 2 minutes late, so. Hey, whoever's joined already. Okay, I see. I see Roxy. Okay, 1 second. Go live.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine, good. I'm a bit late. I always do this when I go live. I forget which button lets you get onto live, so it's had a bit of a panic moment. But we're here. How are
Well,
you?
nice to see you finally.
I know, and you too. I love your hat.
Thank you.
You look lovely. How are you today?
I'm good, I'm good. Up bright and early.
Okay. Oh, okay. What time did you get up today?
I got up for like 7ish. I thought, like,
7.
let me get in the mood, as you do,
All
to
right.
speak to you, and I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Should be a good conversation today. Definitely. I've got my questions for you. Hold on. Got some more as well. Okay, so okay. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Roxy or Roxanne, depends how you want to call me. I am a multiple sclerosis advocate. I specifically advocate for the visibility of people with brown skin in the MS circle because, as you well know, there's not enough of it.
Right.
I also have a podcast called Spilling Tea with Roxy, where I share the beautiful stories of MS warriors. And now I share other chronic illness warrior stories too, because we all need the visibility. And I also have a company called Sick and Sick Clothing, which I created because there's a lot of invisible illness merch, but it doesn't really resonate with the person that I am. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Vanilla. And I needed something a little bit more, as you can probably tell, like me, a bit more in your face, a bit more like, how I feel like we should be as invisible warriors.
Absolutely. You're doing so much.
Thank
It's
you.
like, wow. It's really inspiring. So, I mean, what is your background to start with in terms of like parentage? Like, where are your parents from?
Oh, okay. So, from my background, I am half Bayesian from Barbados and half Irish, but I was born in England. So I'm
Okay.
a mixed heritage.
Ooh, I love Barbados and Ireland as well. Pretty cool. So okay, so when did your MS journey start? When were you diagnosed with MS?
Okay, so I was diagnosed with MS, I think it was at the age of 24, could have been 26, but I presented with my first symptom at the age of 18, which was blindness and double vision. And my right eye went completely blind when I woke up, and then I had also double vision,
Right.
but they thought I had lupus for a very long time.
Okay. 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 That's a common like thing that happens to people on their way to being diagnosed with MS. They tend to get misdiagnosed with things like
Lupus.
stuff. Yeah.
Especially if you're brown, they just think lupus, brown skin. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was when you were 18. You started
Yeah.
having symptoms. The the eye thing, I'm assuming, was that optic neuritis?
Yes, that was optic neuritis, but I didn't think that at first
Okay.
because I had benign intracranial hypertension, which is your spinal fluid in your
Mm,
spinal cord
mm.
rises and generates too quickly, which causes pressure behind your optic nerves and in your brain. So they thought that was just the absolute reason of why that was occurring, but
Right.
it wasn't, I think.
That's it. So did you have anything else? Was it just the optic?
Depression and anxiety. But you know, when you're 18, people just think that you're starting to live life
Yeah.
and that you're just, depressed because you're 18. And I was a bit emo as well, so it didn't really help. So people just thought, oh, she's an 18-year-old emo.
Right.
Makes sense. But now I know depression and MS best friends, aren't they? So
yeah, definitely, and anxiety as well. So yeah.
yeah,
So you said that you. So explain again. So you had the first symptom at 18.
yeah.
Uh, they told you you had MS. Oh,
But,
sorry, lupus.
yeah,
But you were diagnosed with MS when you were 26.
yes.
Okay. So when you were diagnosed when you were 26, what was that like?
Okay, so I was just living normal life between 18 to 26, as normal as you can be, thinking that you have lupus. So my balance was off, mobility was off. I would pass out often and I would feel the depression in waves, but it just felt like what I should have been dealing with.
Right.
One day I was at work and I just could not get my right hand above my head at all. Like it was impossible. It was so painful and so heavy. And I was just off as a human. You know, when you know
Yeah.
that you're not being yourself
Yeah.
and you go, this is not how I feel day to day. What is that?
Mm.
I was at work and I just couldn't do the job. And they were like, look, you obviously have something going on, which we thought was lupus. Maybe you should go to the hospital. Maybe you should get checked out.
Mm.
And that's what happened. I got rushed to the hospital, got checked out because they could tell there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
As soon as I went in there, the neurologist that they sent to me, because obviously they knew I had a neurological problem,
Yeah.
they just didn't think it was MS, looked at me and said, this side of my face, they were like, that's completely dropped. Like you've had a mini stroke in your face.
Mm.
But I didn't notice that at all in myself. So she decided to give me a lumbar puncture again. And she took my olecranon bands, you know, the spinal fluid, to get tested. And it came back positive. And then they gave me an MRI, but it was the first time I ever have had an MRI of my spine too.
Right.
And in my spine is where they found the lesions, which was interesting because they'd done MRIs before of my brain and it's always been nothing showing.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know if you know, Natalie, that like with brown people, we end up a lot of the time presenting lesions in our spinal cords before our brains.
Right.
So it was something that wasn't necessarily done correctly anyways, because if the knowledge was there, maybe they would have imaged my spine years ago and I wouldn't have ended up in that particular situation.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that it presents itself in the spine more in people of colour. I didn't know that. It's interesting.
Yeah, we're meant to have more mobility issues. I don't necessarily think it's always true, but it's something that in the research from America specifically shows that actually we generate MS at a higher rate and we mostly have more mobility issues, which then correlates with the spinal cord lesions for the non-functioning of the body. So I was like, wow, so incredible when you know more. You kind of go light bulb moments.
Exactly.
You know?
I know that when I was diagnosed, they only did the same MRI of my head, and then they found lesions there, quite a few, about 10, they said.
Oh wow.
Me. And then so then when a few years later, actually recently, the last 3 years I think, I had another MRI, and they were like, we'll do it on your spine as well. And I'd had MRIs on my spine before, maybe 1 or 2, never found anything. And then when they did the last one, they found for the first time a lesion on my spine, which kind of made sense in terms of some of the issues that I was dealing with my legs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. And sometimes I know that they refuse to, they just won't do MRIs on your spine because they're like, oh, it's, you know, we don't need to do that. We'll just focus on your head,
which is crazy because your brain's spinal lesions doesn't always affect your mobility.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy that they refuse that, especially for MS patients, especially MS patients of color, because mobility is our issue. And it would be nice for them to, what's the extra 30 minutes in the scanner, really?
I know. It would just be nice for them to do more research on us
Yeah. Well, we're pushing for, that's why we're here, right? Talking today.
Exactly. So, in terms of your symptoms, what is your, what do you have issues with the most? Actually, first of all, what type of MS do you have?
I have relapsing, remitting MS.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And so, how does that affect you?
Okay, so every day's different for me.
Mm.
I do have good days.
Yeah.
And I have bad days. So at the moment, I'll say how I feel now. Like right now, as much as I look bright and exuberant, inside my body is vibrating.
Right.
My left side of my body is weak at the moment.
Right.
So when I'm moving, it's a lot of like every time I take a step, I've got a lot of foot drop, I've got a lot of dragging. Things weigh incredibly heavy right now. So like I was smashing out like yoga daily for ages. Like I would do it every morning without fail. And the last 3 months, I don't know if it's the winter, because winter and MS for me is not the one. But I just cannot produce the results I was exercise wise anymore because my body just won't go. Like it just refuses to go.
Right.
I get this thing, Natalie, where like, have you ever looked at like a glass of water and been like, I need to pick it up, but you can't?
Yeah.
Like you just cannot do it. Like it's right in front of you and you're going, I want the water. I need to move from this chair and get it. Or I need to go toilet is the best. But you can't do it. That is me, like right now. It's like I just don't have that oomph, that like thing that I felt like I used to feel.
Yeah.
And depression on and off. Like I think people see me and they go, oh, she looks like cool, whatever they say. But dude, there's so much going on behind this face. Like, you know?
I know exactly how you feel. Yeah, definitely. And that's I know you talk about invisible illness a lot on your page and in your podcasts and that. So that's kind of why got my attention because I know that I experience that all the time. So if I was to tell you the last week, one of my main symptoms is fatigue, and I can get fatigue so bad. Like for you to mention the glass thing, I'm just like, oh my god. To explain that to people, some people they don't understand. Yeah. I've had it where I've one of my, I think last summer it was, I was on a train coming home, it was hot. I know heat affects me a lot.
Yeah.
And so I felt tired anyway, I hadn't eaten and I was starving. You know me, I love my food and so there's nothing that's going to stop me from eating. Yeah, so if I'm hungry, I need to eat and that's it. So I was on my way home. I thought I don't want to cook when I get home, so I'm going to pick up some food. And I got picked up wasabi, which I love wasabi. So, and was looking forward to getting home. I was so tired. And got off the train, walking down my road. I was so tired, and it was like a wave that came over me. And I just thought, let me just make it home, And I got home. And I literally was so tired. I looked at my food and I said to myself, I don't know how I'm going to even open this bag to eat the food. I don't have the energy to even eat the food. It's hungry. I was starving. But I just was like, I just don't have the energy to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the energy to walk down the hallway or get up. You sit there and you think, it's like, how am I going to actually do this? So that's when it's really bad. So I totally understand. And if you tell people that and they look at you and they're like, oh, you need to lay down or you look fine or, it's...
You're a beautiful girl. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's not wrong with you. So it can be frustrating. It's to the point where I don't even say that much to people because they don't, you just feel like they're not gonna get it.
become muted. You just don't bother. Like, the worst thing for me is going to someone, oh, I'm tired, I'm dealing with fatigue. And we know our fatigue is not a day at work. But when someone goes to you, oh, so am I, I'm really tired, I had a long day at work. You're like, I wish I had a long day at work. I really would give my left arm right now for a long day at work feeling. Because right now, it feels like I've had a long year at work and I can't deal. Like you said, drinking a glass of water is too much effort. Cooking a meal, like, I'm having to try to get into meal prepping on a good day because sometimes, like, have you ever want to cry from being so tired because you need to do something and you just can't, and you're just like, and you get frustrated and no one around you knows why you're raging or why your mood is the way it is, but you're so frustrated at, like, doing the smallest thing, like brushing your teeth or having to prepare a meal for yourself, and no one gets it. You're just sitting there in your own frustration, like, too much.
And it's a shock to the system, definitely, I think. And even when I was diagnosed, I refused to believe that the tiredness, I didn't experience tiredness as bad as I did now. So I would say, oh, I have fatigue, and just think, oh, it's, I'll be fine. But then now experiencing bouts of it that can be that bad, and then this is fatigue. This is, it's debilitating, literally. So
intense.
Yeah.
Very intense.
Yeah. So, I mean, with your symptoms, so you have fatigue with your symptoms, and what else do you experience?
Tremors and spasticity. So, like, a lot of the time I'll just be having a conversation with someone and I don't necessarily use knives. Well, I don't cut things that often myself because I have that spasm of, like, I'll be like cutting along, like, it's great, and then I'll have a spasm and things will just either fly out of my hand, like my phone does that all the time, or it will happen in my leg where it just starts vibrating in this, like, non-control way that I can't control, and it makes me look, well, strange to the outside world, like, and balance is an issue. So if you pair that, like, a lot of people kind of just look drunk to a lot of people. Like, I look like I'm an alcoholic that's, like, having some moments, and it's, I think because we're young, people don't think other things, they just think, I don't know, young and reckless rather than young and another kind of symptom that I get from my MS is, like, hypersensitivity. My body feels like it's vibrating. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it feels like it's vibrating. It feels like my sensation is somewhere out here in my body, and it's like someone touches me, it feels really intense. That's the only way I can explain it. It feels so intense. It's like,
is it like pins and needles?
Like pins and needles, but like, it's not, it's like above the skin. It's really weird. It's like really above the skin for me. So it just feels like I'm vibrating. I think I'm vibrating. It's so, I don't know how to explain it. It's the weirdest feeling I have. It's like I'm vibrating. Someone touches me, like, if someone arouses you, or like your skin crawls, that feeling of, like, skin crawling, but really intense because it doesn't let up. Like, it will be like that for like a week, an hour.
Oh, wow.
A year? What? I'm not even talking about a year. Like an hour or so, and I'm talking to people and I'm vibrating, and I'm like, can they see this on my face that I'm vibrating, or just something only I can tell that's happening? And my perception. Do you get perception issues?
Explain, like, how?
Like, what you see is not necessarily what's occurring, like, or your field of view is just not what is actually there. So like I said about the cup, like, as much as trying to pick it up for tiredness is an issue, but even if you go for it, where you think it is, it's not actually is. Like, you'll be off by like a centimeter. So I'm trying to get something, but my body's not really syncing up to what I'm trying to do. And another symptom, as you can probably tell as I'm talking to you, is my speech and my brain word connection. Well, I could just said a year. Like, why a year? I was thinking an hour. My brain was going hour. My mouth said year. and then sometimes the words go around my mouth before they come out of it.
Yeah, I had that as well. And I didn't want to believe that was the MS. But yeah, it's very common to have that. So that's why I get doing these lives, sometimes I get a bit paranoid or like, because I'm trying to speak as clearly as I can, but I do get my words mixed up a whole lot.
Yeah.
You just end up saying some random things back to front, and yeah, so it's, yeah, I understand that.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, you kind of, like you said, like, there's so many things that I was like, that's not MS. Because you're so adamant that you want to keep so much of yourself. You go, no, I am, responsible for some of this. Mood swings.
Yeah.
Mood swings for us females specifically around that time of the month is an issue. Around my ovulation is hideous. Like, I am a monster. I become this, like, do not talk to me. I don't want to, just leave me alone. Sadness, everything just heightens incredibly. And you kind of you're trying to go, no, this is me. I'm in control of this. I can change this. And it takes a moment to accept that it actually could just be MS.
Yeah.
And it also takes a little bit of knowledge to know certain things that MS affects you with. Because there's a lot I've learned in the last year that I never knew was MS. Like, I was like, oh God, that's MS too. Wow, like, how many symptoms do I have then that I didn't even know about?
Yeah, definitely. I went to an event and I met a girl it was an MS event, and she was talking about her symptoms, and she mentioned something about she gets this thing in her neck. It's like a spot electric kind of feeling, a spark in her neck. And I've had that for years. I get that randomly. And she's like, I can't remember the name of it, but she said the name of it. She's like, that's a common MS symptom. And I was like, jeez. But I've always wondered what it was. And even when I go to see my neurologist, I never say anything about that because I didn't think it was anything to do with like MS. So I think sorry.
They didn't ask enough though. They didn't ask enough questions in the neurologist place.
Yeah, no, I know. So I think because I realise that now, I kind of tell them everything that I feel if I get something like that in my neck, and maybe they can say, what it is. And like you said, doing your own research is we really
Speaking,
because they don't. I think with people of color with MS, it's such a big thing, And I started doing research last year, looking at the statistics and how many research studies versus and the people they're doing it with. And I have something on the page I put up as a post where I've written. The post says that I think it's out of 60,000 studies for people with MS. There's only been 113 studies of Black people with MS. It's out of 60,000 studies, just 113 have been done on us.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
For many reasons, because I was speaking to a lot of people about that specific situation that you're talking about when it comes to MS testing, and we do want more of it. Like, we obviously need more of it because our genes are different and we react differently to treatments. But there's a problem because a lot of people that are Black or brown don't want to be part of the studies, even if they're going to action them. And that is an issue. And I've been speaking to the MS Society specifically in the UK, and I know that they do want to do them, and they want to highlight a lot more Black people. But even as someone like you that's in the community and is colour and is speaking to people, I realise that they don't either want to share their stories because they're shy, or they kind of still have a lot of reservations regarding exactly like what the treatments are and the effects it have on them. Like, they don't want to be a guinea pig because of the history of what it is for a black person to be guinea pig medically, which is understandable. We have trauma. It needs to be addressed for us to be able to move on. So we're kind of like at a weird stalemate, because the other day they was like to me, do you know anyone that is of colour, specifically male if possible, that has PPMS, which is progressive MS? I put a call out, and the people I did know that had it, no one wanted to speak to them as society. Everyone was like, nope, not doing it, no. Or they don't actually share that side of themselves outwardly anyway to the rest of the world. So there's a lot of like shame and vulnerability issues there too.
I totally understand that, and I get that, especially with the history of like testing and stuff. With that, I also do think though, and I will call out MS Society for this, because I remember they did a campaign. They've never done a campaign as big as this. I think about 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Where they had billboards, they had TV commercials, in magazines and print, everything. And in these commercials, I was like, oh my God, because I remember they sent out messages saying this campaign was launching, and all of that, which was brilliant. And so I was looking forward to it, you know, because I think anytime you hear about something like that, it's good for, you know, if you have friends and family. Like, you know, look at this, and this is
visibility.
Exactly. And so in this huge campaign they did, there was not one black person in this campaign. And it upsets me now when I think about it. I just thought, you're going to have huge billboards. I think there's one Asian woman in the campaign, but everybody else was white. And you had billboards, TV commercials, radio, print, magazine. You don't feature one black person. There is no excuse. You can be an actor, you know, and represent that face of MS.
Yeah, absolutely.
It wasn't until last year, with the whole BLM movement and companies wanting to show that they care and that, you know, all of that, that I see them now showing people a lot more, like ridiculously, like a lot more, with MS on their social media pages, in their magazines. But before last year, as far as I'm concerned, MS Society, MS Trust, all of the major MS charities have failed black people and people of colour who have multiple sclerosis that are living out here. And so when you're trying to reach out to people now and they don't want anything to do with you, they don't see themselves with you. So what are you going to do? It has to be a genuine thing, you know, and it's good now that they're paying attention, but I'm sorry, but it's just, they've just invested too much money in doing things to tell people about MS and have excluded people of colour, and it's not acceptable.
Well,
so
I agree with you. It was seen as a white woman's illness. Like, even outside of colour, I just felt there was no male representation as well, no trans representation, no queer representation as well. These things all matter to me because I am a pansexual brown woman. So women, I'd like to say, because my gender's a bit weird at the moment. Anyway, back to the MS stuff. I agree with you. 2 years ago, I didn't see anything. When I was first diagnosed with MS, I saw nothing. I went to every appointment and got drugs and stuff. Every person in there was white. I reveled in seeing one Chinese woman and one Asian woman. I was like, oh my God, not that anyone in there story is less than mine because they're not brown. We're all dealing with the same thing because we're all a community, and spread the love all way. But I feel like if there's better representation for brown people, there's better representation for everyone, there's better treatments for everyone, so it links us all together.
Yeah,
I did call them out over the BML stuff. Like, I had spoken to them. That's why I talk to them now. I was like, well, you guys ain't doing good enough. You ain't doing good representation. Instead of being like, I'm going to make it better, because I still realize they're the main company people look at, whether we like it or not. I was like, dropped into their DMs, dropped into their emails. I was like, so what are we going to do then? And that's what I've been doing since that day. What are we going to do? How are we going to change this? How are we going to get a better representation? That they know that speaking to people, especially if you're speaking to someone from the MS Society that's white, that they maybe are not getting the best information, because we don't want to share it, because we do feel like you've been like, well, forget you guys, you ain't part of this. And we need to both give a little bit on both sides. We need to like kind of just chill out a little bit and understand that maybe we need to like actually want to share a little bit more information if we want the results. I know it's hard for some people to hear, and I do get that, because we're a bit like, let's create our own stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I loved when you appeared, the Black MS Society. My mum was like, the Black MS Society, that's his thing. Incredible. But we still need people with the money, because unfortunately we don't have the cash to make the change. Yeah. We still need to give them enough information so that it also help us.
Yeah.
So I care about this, and if anyone listening to this does have PPMS and wants to help them help us, please let me know. Or anything, if you're a Black woman, man, Asian woman, Arab woman, because I also think Muslims don't get enough representation. I don't think my Indian Asian friends get enough representation. So we're all in this together. Holler at me, drop in my DM. I will connect you, because they need our stories. They need to hear what we're dealing with to make our situations better.
No, they do, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So no, I'm very passionate about all of that. So I love to hear what you're saying, definitely. So
I've been sharing my story. I know that the lady you interviewed before me, they shared their story on the MS Society too. Yeah. I'm working with blogging with them, but if people don't want to be the person, they don't want their name in the, and they want to share their stories, and they want me or someone else to write for them on the down low just to share that, I'm happy to do that. I'm sure you and Natalie too, to advocate or give a voice to people that maybe don't want it to be their voice. Please let us know, because you count. Your voice counts. Yeah. And I get that sometimes I wasn't in a place in my life where I could advocate for myself. I didn't have the time. I was too depressed. I couldn't paint
everything, right?
I mean, having a wash was like climbing a mountain. So I get it. Sometimes we don't have the energy, and we don't want that personal information to be out into the world. But as me and Natalie are sitting here, obviously we are fine with it. So we're happy to do that. We're happy to like hold that ball for you and keep it rolling, because I care about everyone. Like, I care about us all. I care about you. I love what you do. I love everyone that you interview, and I want you to keep pushing the name of the Black Society, because I think you bring beauty and you allow people to connect with you because they know you understand them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Important.
Well, thank you very much. And the same with you. I think the angle that you're taking is really it's really inspiring.
Thank you.
Because not everybody fits into the same box. You know, like within the that community, we have people, you know, that like you say, they identify differently. And that's a whole other thing, you know, how people live in their lives.
Different pronouns, different genders, background, everything, religious, everything.
Yeah. So it is important that they see everybody, or at least just start to kind of pay attention, you know. That's what I think. So back to you. I wanted to ask, so when you were diagnosed, what treatment did you, or do you take any treatment for your MS?
For the first few years, I've obviously, because I was misdiagnosed for so many years, there was like a whole part of my MS life where I had MS that no one knew I had MS. So with lupus, there's no treatment at all. So until I was 26, when they were like, hey, you have MS. Actually, a whole bit was, when I was told I had MS, it wasn't from my actual neurologist. It was from a whole nother neurologist in a whole different hospital. So I had a whole year from that moment to get my own neurologist to accept the diagnosis a whole new neurologist gave me, so that I could even be considered as an MS patient.
Right.
And then it was another half a year to 3/4 of a year for them to be like, okay, you have MS, here's some treatment options. So that, like, you're looking at like 8 years at least of my life where I was just MSing whimsically out in the world, no treatment, just running around. And obviously disease is progressing, which wasn't fun. Anyways, let me fast forward. My first treatment was Tysabri. They gave me a few options. I can never remember the name of the second option, but I always remembered that it came down to one of the side effects was going to have to be cleaning my blood for the rest of my life if it went weird. So my brain, I hate taking blood. I hate infusions. I hate, like, my biggest pet hate on the internet is people that blog their infusions going in their arms. I can't. My medical trauma triggers instantly, and I'm doing that with my social media. Like, I can't like, stop it. I don't like it. But I went with Tysabri anyways, and I just turn around and the nurse distracts me and I'm like, here's my arm.
Yeah.
I did 3 infusions. First infusion, I didn't notice very much, but it was okay. I was a little bit tired. Then I had an energetic burst and then went down again. Okay. Second infusion, cool. Third infusion, my skin started burning while the infusion went in. So like under my breast, on my arms, there was these like patches of like burning appearing. So they stopped the infusion on that day. They're like, look, we can't, there's something going on. Plus my results before I started Tysabri were JCV positive as well. So I was taking it knowing there was a risk, but I felt like the risk outweighed the other risk of the other drug. They were like, we'll monitor the JCV virus numbers and we'll make sure it doesn't go up against whatever. I can't remember what the actual number is that you can't go above before it gets really, really dangerous. I think I was 0.7% JCV virus positive. Anyways, they stopped that because it was burning my skin, and that was a weird side effect that they had never experienced before, because obviously, how can Roxy not be weird or strange? I'm always a strange, weird patient. So I took a massive break for 2 years. I just was like, look, alongside that, I was taking baclofen, I was taking gabapentin for pain, all that kind of madness. I was taking antidepressants at that time just to deal with what I was dealing with. I think I was on 8 drugs a day, tablet-wise, as well as the Tysabri. And have you ever got to a place in life where you're like, I can't do this anymore? This is too much. This is all too much. The drug taking, the side effects from one pill with interacting with another pill, and I couldn't quite get the line straight to where I'm taking tablets at the right time. They're not interacting with each other. So I had all that, and my gastro was insane. Like, I couldn't go to the toilet. I was backed up. I was bloated. Like, I had acid reflux so intensely. Like, I just didn't even enjoy food anymore. But it wasn't the food, it was the tablets, like the coating that tablets come in. My stomach doesn't digest that correctly. I was like, look, I'm going drug-free. And they was like, what? I was like, I'm going drug-free. I'm coming off all these antidepressants and all these drugs because I need to know as a human, because obviously the drugs they've given me, I was taking because I was like in pain, or I wasn't dealing with having MS very well. Like, I hadn't really, although I'd been ill for so many years, I was actually now having to deal with the label of, this is MS, Roxanne, this is what you're dealing with. And I dealt with it. And I just took in all the pills because I was frightened. I was like, give them all to me. Is this going to help? Is this going to help? I need to feel like I'm getting help. Give me them all. And obviously with Tysabri and that point, and it started burning, and then the depression was still intense, and I still didn't feel great, and I still had all this pain. And I was like, well, the tablets don't seem to be working because I feel worse, not better. I went, I said no. And they said, don't do that. It's not recommended. So I would not recommend anyone to do what I do, because this is me being me. And I'm hard-headed as an Aries, I kind of do what I want, and that's probably my biggest issue in life. But I did it. And with the help of an amazing person in my life, for 2 years, I just didn't take any tablets. I didn't take any MS treatments. I sat with myself. I started reading. I started to lessen the brain chatter, because I have a lot of monkey chatter, like a lot of back chatter of like, oh, is this the right thing to do? Are you hurting yourself? Are you helping? A lot of it. And I had to lessen that. I started yoga, which is not a cure for MS. It's just something that allowed me to relax, which is a benefit, not a cure. And I started to change how I ate. Before that, I was eating terribly. Like, when I mean I was eating bad, like I had never ever looked at my diet. I'll show you a picture of me before MS and after MS, and you'll be like, that's not the same person. But it is, because I had to look at my life. I had to look at how I was treating myself. I am also responsible for me. And I think I wasn't doing that. I was putting everything down to MS. And MS, and the world was being terrible to me, and they've plagued me with this MS, and what did I do to deserve this? Like, you know, all these silly things that you realize you go through, but when you're emotional, they seem right. They seem like you're making sense. And that was the best 2 years of my life, because I had to not blame anything but me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean? It's probably, for a lot of people, probably not what they need to hear right now, but it was the extremity that I needed.
Yeah.
After that, I'd done that. I'd lost weight. I'd so many things, not because I wanted to, just as a side effect of what I was doing, basically. And I had one neurology appointment. He was like, look, you have no new lesions or anything, but I would like to say to you that I recommend you taking a treatment just for what they say your later self in life, which is a weird thing, because part of you goes, is this, well, if I'm fine, why am I taking a drug for then? But they keep going to you. And I got a bit scared, and I was like, okay, maybe you're right. So just before the first lockdown, I started Ocrevus. So I started it in December before lockdown, and my last dose was in the February, just as we went into the first lockdown. I loved the drug at that point. It was great. I had an energetic burst from all the Benadryl and the steroids. I felt like, ooh. And then I slept for like a few days, but actually probably the best MS treatment I've taken. It was great, but lockdown screwed it up, because it put everything back for me. Like, my appointments had to go back. They had to break up how they were giving people the drug. So you couldn't have so many people in the room. So it was all being shifted to different dates. And still to this day, I've not had my Ocrevus infusion through my own choice, though. It wasn't their fault. We got to the end of last year where they were like, well, now you're due to have it, like, you're on the list. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to have it now because of the lockdown and all that stuff. Like everyone else, we all have our own little bit of paranoia about having MS, being on immune suppressant drugs, and living life. So I am trying to decide now how I want to go forward, but I think for me, Ocrevus has been the best drug. I think it's an amazing drug, to be honest. I do.
It's interesting.
But it's not for everyone, drugs. I don't think everyone can take drugs.
With the drugs, then you really have to kind of look at your life and look at what you're happy with, look at what your kind of side effects, the potential side effects of a lot of these drugs is a bit crazy. But yes, that you've made that decision, that you're happy with that, that's really good.
It's what you're okay with doing, because they've offered me recently Tecfidera and Copaxone. But like, one of them's tablets and one of them's injections. But I don't know if I want to inject myself 2-3 times. Like, I'm a wimp like that. Like, I can barely get a blood test, so why am I going to try? Like, so it's really what you can deal with. Like I said, whether it's the side effects that you feel like you can deal with, or whether it's the actual taking or how the drugs administered. I have friends that take no drugs and have MS, and they're living a great life. But that's just how they deal with their MS. And that's not right for everyone. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, like, as much as I'm talking about me and what I'm doing with my MS, I'm not going to say that's recommended for everyone.
Yeah.
I would just want to say to everyone listening, like, please make it your journey, because we're all different. The same way Natalie's journey's not mine, and mine's not Natalie's. We can talk, we can jam, we can like kiki over it all, but we're not going to make the same decisions because we're not the same people living the same life. Like, I've not been able to work due to my MS. Some people I know still, like, one girl I'm speaking to, she climbs trees and is a, like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Like, I wish like MS allowed me that, but it doesn't. And everyone's journey is slightly different.
Yeah.
And it's the beauty of MS, weirdly, is the differences and the similarities we all have, and how we can connect like that community.
Definitely. We've only got about 10 minutes left. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about is I saw on your page that you use a mobility aid. So I wanted to talk about that, because I know a lot of people probably watching this now will be like, what? Mobility aid? Like, you know, and that's also another thing with the whole invisible illness thing, and when you're using mobility aids and people can look at you like, you know, well, why is she, you know, what's wrong with her? You know, she looks fine. So can you mention that briefly?
Yeah. Do you mean my bike?
Yes.
Okay, so really same, just before the lockdown again, I was the year before I came across like Selma Blair and a guy called Brandon online, and they had this yellow bike thing, and I was like, what is this bike? It was blowing my mind. I was like, it's so cool. Like, and they were like some mobility aid, and I realized these people had MS, and I was like, oh my god. So I started doing the community because I just wanted to, like, I'm nosy and I want to know what's going on and what was this cool thing that I keep seeing, and you know, how's it help? And I've got this bike called the Alinka walking bike, and it's basically looks like a bicycle,
Yeah.
but it is a walker. It's a mobility walker.
Okay.
Instead of like the traditional one which you push and it's in front of you and it's got a little seat on it, it's more like a bike. You sit on it,
right.
and it takes all the weight out of your legs and stuff. So it just allows you to walk longer and stronger and build up your muscles. So it's really good for like physiotherapy for people, but it's also good for people that a lot of us have wheelchairs with MS, not because we can't walk, because we can't go for a long time. And this kind of cures that situation. It allows you, I think B's biggest thing was keeping people at eye height.
Right, okay.
Because you're in a wheelchair, people kind of look at you in a certain way, they start treating you a certain way, and they look down because you're down. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to create something that brings us up to eye height. So now, if you're talking to me,
isn't it?
yeah, if I'm disabled, you're having to look me in the eye now and take me on that kind of level. And I thought that was amazing. It's my favorite thing, and it's bright yellow. And you know I love my fashion. You know I love to look amazing, because it is literally my therapy to, like, you know, not all the time do I look like this. Sometimes I'm in pajamas, hair's ragged up, you know.
Yes.
that's like, what, 5 days out of 7. Don't get me wrong. But even on those days, I think walking down the street on this yellow bike, how people treat me has changed. People don't look at me like, because I had like an NHS style cane and stuff like that to help me. And I'd gone to museums and I'd used like the mobility scooter, which I love. I think they're amazing. The electric scooter, like, it's like different. It's like wacky races. But it was, people used to react to me in a certain way. And when I went to the same museum in this bike, people wanted to talk to me. They were like, oh my God, what is that thing you're on? Like, they weren't going, oh, you're disabled, poor you. They were going, what is this? It's really cool. Like, it has no pedals. No, there's no pedals. You're walking like that. Like, the conversations with the people I'm talking to are so different, and it's actually joyous. It makes you proud. It makes you, not saying that someone in a wheelchair is not proud, because I've been in a wheelchair and I'm as proud in the wheelchair as I am in the Lincoln bike. But there's something different about it having colour. And I was part of a article recently where they had highlighted mobility aids. So I've got that bike, and I've also got a cane by an amazing company called Neo Walking Sticks.
Okay.
I don't know if you know, they make the most amazing mobility canes for people, and they're so cool. They do like glitter ones, they can customize them for you. They have the most amazing light up canes ever. They like look like lightsabers from Star Wars. Everyone should get one, because there is a cane for everyone's personality, I promise you that. And I love the fact that I could bring personality into my mobility aids like I do with my clothes. And I saw one of the women in this article had pimped out her wheelchair so amazingly. Like, she'd put the colours on the wheels, she'd add a little thing. And I was like, this woman is a woman after my own heart, because that would be me. I'd be that person. If I was in a wheelchair, I would like paint it, I'd do something to give it my personality, because I don't think mobility aids are meant to take away from us. They're meant to become part of us. And I think that a Lincoln walking bike and the Neo walking sticks are aids that allow us to feel cool and amazing and still us. And you can get them all customized, or you can customize them yourself. And
that sounds so cool.
It's amazing. I think in London and England, I don't think people really know about the Lincoln walking bike. So sometimes people do go, especially when trying to walk in, like, I don't know, Waitrose and get some shopping. They're like, why are you on a bike? And I'm like, I'm not on a bike, it's a mobility aid. And that's a whole question. Right. But in America, obviously in Canada, they know because that's where it comes from. So right now with the woman, the UK Lincoln woman, we're trying to get people to understand that this is a new age. It's 2021. We don't need to be in these NHS things that they want us to be in. We can be cool too. Just because we're disabled doesn't mean we're not cool. We can be as beautiful and as amazing and as cool as everybody else. And we're going to show these people that these mobility aids don't have to be boring. They can be awesome. Here's the Olympic walking bike. Welcome to England. This is the future. And I'm happy to be a part of that. I love that company. I love them so much. They're an amazing company. They're a community rather than a company. I crowdsource fund mine because I don't have £2,500 when you can't work with MS to buy these things. So there is a whole side of this where the community itself comes together, aids people in getting these devices. They crowdsource fund for it, and they've got, like, even to this day, they've made smaller and smaller ones. So now if you're a 5-year-old child and you have an ability issue, you can get in a Lincoln walking bike that's going to help you and allow you to, I don't know, show up for yourself a little bit more, you know? And it's changing people's lives around the world, and I just want to say I love them, so definitely go check them out because they are epic.
Well, if anybody wants to know more about the Lincoln bike, if you go to your page, definitely, and then I'll actually do a post about that as well, because it sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. I think anything that can help you psychologically and your mood, if you have something like MS or similar chronic illnesses, anything that will, that's made to kind of make you feel better is good. Is a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few minutes left. I know this thing, I've never had it happen to me before. I know it shuts off after like an hour or something. So we're on like 5 minutes left. So 5 minutes. I mean, we've spoken a bit about your MS journey. Number one, can you just maybe say something to people that are going to watch this? And I'll post this video, so if people that aren't watching it now, they can watch it after. Do you have anything to say to anyone who's just been diagnosed or has MS, not feeling too great about it, from someone that has MS? Can you, in a minute, impart some inspirational wisdom?
Okay. First and foremost, if you've been newly diagnosed, know that there is a grieving process of getting a new diagnosis. Know that it's probably going to feel kind of heavy right now, and it's going to kind of feel kind of end of world like, because I've been there. I felt like, oh my God, someone's told me I have a disease or an illness with no cure. How that hit me in the heart. and it really felt like at points like I wanted to give up. But I promise you that don't give up, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, and so a lot of that light is in this community. It is in speaking to each other and learning how to better advocate for ourselves and how to better live with it. It doesn't have to take everything from you, even though sometimes it feels like it can or it will. It doesn't have to be like that. I've been there. I've been at that point where I couldn't go on, and now I'm here talking to you. And I promise you there's light to be had. And know that we all love you and that we're all here for you. And that if you just need to talk, just drop into our DMs, because we care. And I know, being that person, there was no one that looked like me, and there's no one that I felt like I could connect with when I first started this journey. And I'm so happy that me, Natalie, and the other people that I talk to now are cultivating a space so that you feel like there's people that are like you can connect with, and know that we're here for you, that we are here to help you as much as we're helping ourselves. I'm doing this because I care, and I don't want people to be in the same situation that I was when I started this journey, feeling a little bit lost and stuff. So I just want to say I love you all, basically. I love this community. I love you all, and I love that we show up for each other. And I just want to thank everyone for just being alive and being present, and, you know, even being listening to this. The 6 of you that are in there, I love you all. I hope you know that.
But perfect. No, I think people need to hear that, definitely. And so thank you for sharing that. And I co-sign Roxy that, you know, don't give up.
Yeah, you're not alone. You are not alone, even if you feel it.
No, take each day as it comes, but definitely don't give up on yourself with MS. So, we've got about a minute and a half left. Can you tell people where they can find you or follow you?
Okay, well, I am the multiple sclerosis fashionista. I used to study fashion, that's why I chose that name. I'm not insane. There's also Splinty of Roxy, which is my podcast, which is a whole other Instagram. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and there is Sick and Sickening Clothing, which is a website you can go to, or there's also Instagram. And you can just come and say hi wherever you like, because I obviously like to talk, as you can tell, because I can't be quiet.
So, Roxy, thank you so much. Thank you for joining this IG Live. Best of luck with everything that you're doing. You're doing so much, and I wish you nothing but success and good health and continued health, and just everything positive, lots of lights and all that.
Thank you, Natalie. Oh, I love you. Love and light, people.
Brilliant. So I'm going to save this live. It's going to cut off soon, so you can watch it after or when I post it, whatever. So, okay, everyone, have a good day, and thank you again, Roxy.
You're welcome.
Okay, cool. Okay, bye.
Bye.